Please check out our sponsors NordVPN for the best in online security. It's the best VPN on the market, and you can try it risk-free now with a 30-day money-back guarantee by visiting nordvpn.com/heart and hand. That's nordvpn.com/heart and hand, and it's risk-free with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Hello everyone, and welcome to Heart and Hand, the Rangers podcast. My name is David Edgar, and as always, I am your host, and very much looking forward to today's show, because joining me are two stalwart guests from the Heart and Hand collection. First of all, the Sage of Saltcoats himself, it's Andy McGowan.
Hello, stalwart. I suppose that's better than veteran.
Yeah, that's true. Experience I'm going for, and that tees me up beautifully, because when it comes to experience, there's quite literally nobody older and more versed in watching Rangers among the Heart and Hand podders. It's good, old-fashioned, and old in many other ways, Alan Bradley.
Well, thank you very much. No, experienced. I'll take that one, David. Yeah, I'll go for that, pal. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a sensible move. Right then, lads, yesterday Rangers travelled through to Perth, and after the excellent win in Nice, regardless of how we've been playing domestically, the win in Nice was superb. It was a strange one in that the manner of it was unexpected, but I'll be honest, I said on Thursday on our daily show that it wouldn't surprise me if we were good and got something out there tonight. And when you think about it, the way we've been playing domestically, to go there to a side that are sitting fifth in France and going for Champions League places in a top 5 league and scudding them. And it was a scudding. The game was done by half time. But we all knew that Rangers have had good European results this year, came back and not delivered at all at the league. So 12 o'clock on a Sunday away game, we didn't quite know what to expect. And Andy, I watched the game, obviously, and with the attendant nerves through it, because, as usual, Rangers don't put a team away. And I watched it back, and it was all right. It wasn't great. It wasn't terrible. We were totally in control. Didn't, score enough, as seems to be always the case with us. It was all right, but I think that fans are domestically waiting for something that gives us a spark, and I didn't feel yesterday was it, although I'll take the win.
I'll take the win, all right. I was at the game, first half, frustrated. Second half, I thought was much, much better. I can't blame Dessers this week, because he wasn't playing. My take on it, and going through Twitter yesterday, I was like, I think I'm a wee bit isolated here. I'm not saying it was a good performance, Davey.
Before?
What?
That's a new thing.
Before, I'm not doing it because I want to be contrary, I just say my opinion. But what I thought of yesterday was that I think there's a wee bit of, we're judging a game on which went before as well, and we're then making we're judging it on a theme. Because we've been shite for weeks and weeks and weeks, and then we weren't too hot yesterday, therefore it's a continuation of the same. I actually thought there was, I think there was shoots of life there, that if we're going to be critical in the way that we're critical, i.e. we pick the holes in most things, I think we then need to do the reverse of that, and it's pick the wee shoots of stuff that are happening that are worthy of comment, and whether we like it or no, constitute progress, however slim that may be. So that's where I was. I think we're a better team without Dessers, and I think that, and I said this the other week, I can't remember what pod it was, I can't remember, but I said, listen, in defence of Clement, maybe would his systems and everything else work better with a more dynamic centre forward, a bit of strength. We've seen it in France for a start. I'm not saying Igamani had a great game yesterday, but we're a different team, and there is more happening with a bit more strength. And I think the fact that Hadji played well yesterday was a real positive, because he added a wee bit of purpose. Now, you said, Davey, in the intro about putting teams away. Bajrami misses a sitter in the first half at a good time in that first half, and I think if that goes in, we would have went on and got more. It's just that the age-old adage of this team and teams that went before us in recent history, we do not take our chances, and it baffles me because I would usually say it's a question of quality. But if you're asking me who's quality in our team, Bajrami would probably be one of the first names I'd make, I'd say. So it signs of life, right? I think there was a lot going on yesterday that was worthy of comment, worthy of positivity, but by no means am I sitting here saying, we're back on track and everything else. We still don't create enough chances. We still don't get to the byline enough. I think that's a major, major problem that we've got, is that we always look to come inside, whether it's Cherny, whether it's Shefty, whether it's Bajrami. We don't get to the byline, and we are playing against a team. I don't think St Johnstone sat in. I thought they were actually pretty.
Not to the
playing
degree
St Johnstone I've ever seen.
Yeah. I agree. I'd agree with that. Nowhere near the degree that we've seen in the past.
And it was just a case of the patterns of player too predictable in the first half, and St Johnstone were super comfortable, but we should still have been ahead. And if we go ahead before half time, I think we win 2 or 3, and that would have put a totally different sheen on that game and that performance. But I think it was positive, Dave. I think really drone on about it, but the physical factor I always mention when I'm on pods, that physical equation was better yesterday. I thought Barron and Raskin were solid. I thought Suter was excellent. I thought, even when they bring on Yilmaz in the second half, I thought Jefty was good that way. He shoulder barging folk off the park now, So there's things happening that I'm quietly optimistic about, but I'm not, super belief stage where I'm looking forward to the League Cup final and Spurs and stuff like that. That's not where I'm at. So anybody listening to this who wants to sit and ready to type on Twitter or in the comments to get stuck into me, that's the balance. I'm just saying there's things happening that were worthy of positivity.
Yeah, Alan. Andy makes an interesting point there, which is about how do you view an individual match. And I mentioned this yesterday that if you judge this on just Sunday, on just what it was, which was early kickoff, tricky away game after an away European game on Thursday night, that normally under the circumstances, a fairly comfortable 1-0, you would just take it. And if you judge it in that context, it was fine, it was okay. It wasn't great, but it was okay. But, of course, you can't really do that. It's very difficult, certainly, to do that because you have to judge it in the wider context of the season. So I think it does depend. And I agree with Andy. I've seen, speaking to listeners, speaking to patrons on our site, I've seen both sides of it, which is people agreeing with Andy and saying, that wasn't too bad and there was some good things in it. And I've seen other guys saying that was rubbish, usual stuff, boring, all the rest of it. We're no improving, etc., etc. And I can absolutely see where both of them are coming from, because on the one hand, you've got, as I say, as a one-off, it was okay, but it's impossible to judge it as a one-off. You have to judge it, I think, in the wider context of what we've witnessed. And, yesterday was frustrating. We are, as Andy says, a bit too slow. I think in the final third, we're too predictable and we don't make good decisions. But in that sense, I think it was interesting to see the reaction to it, which I think was very much based on whether you were viewing it as Sunday 1st of December alone and just talking about the game, or whether you were viewing it as the season so far, 24-25.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of my views, you're probably talking, over 50 years now, David, I've been going. So I'll say it before, I saw the Wallace treble the year after a lot of people get rid of him. Treble again. I saw the horrible Greg at the end time. I saw when Big Wallace came back before the soonest stuff. Obviously, the kind of problems we had in 2012 or whatever it would be. So I've got a kind of different view, and even with the change, with the managers going out the past couple of years, and then obviously Clement coming in this time last year, we would all have been talking about, my God, this guy could be the real deal and so on. I think you're right. I think Andy's hit on it, and I don't even think it's just even the game, the Dundee United game. I feel from the summer, myself personally as well, I've been this isn't going to be a good year. It's going to take us time, and I'm not doing the manager making excuses. So my expectations, and it's not standards that have dropped, but my expectations this year were, to be honest with you, I think we'll struggle. We're not going to do maybe the league, but if we can get a couple of cups or whatever, do well in Europe. So I've had that. I feel from the start, because of the stuff to do with Hamden and so on, and the mood against the board, there's so many, or there seems to be I think from outside looking in, a majority of our fan base now have just set their minds on the whole thing's absolutely rubbish. The manager's rubbish. We need to get rid of this. So regardless of kind of what happens, even when we do the odd thing, which I think on Saturday, if you jump back to a Walter time or an Advocat one, we'd go, we won 4-1 in Europe. And by the way, we're back. And okay, it wasn't a great performance, but there were positives, and we've got the 3 points. That's fine. But I feel that everything gets overlaid with all this is shite, burn everything. So any positive, I think, just tends to kind of get pushed down. And I'm not saying it's not been good. I've been going to games all the time, will continue, and it's horrible at times watching them. But I feel that where there is positivity, even the likes of on Thursday as well, again, you've got a lot of people who've made their mind up and they've got that same story. Well, they weren't really that good anyway. For goodness sake, it's 4-1 away in Europe and we're doing well, and I know it's different. So my view on Sunday as well, but apart from the first 10, 15 minutes where it was like, oh, geez, St Johnstone went at us with pace, proper looked really kind of vulnerable and so on. I thought once we kind of got to grips with things, it was just as Andy said, it was that old, we're controlling the game, but for goodness sake, we need to create chances we need to move it quicker, we need to get more shots on it. And in a way as well, David, I think that for the past so many months as well, that's just been my big frustration. It's not as if our defence, I think proper's not suited to domestic stuff, but it's not as if Rangers are leaking in 2-3 goals at every game. My big frustration is, my God, if we just had a couple of strikers, that were actually just chipping in with just an average of 2 goals a game or 3, we'd be a lot closer. We'd be in a far better position. So I've kind of got the frustration and all that everyone else has got. But if you take the game in isolation, well, to be honest with you, I've seen us coming back for Europe. I think we've all seen it, even going to Perth and so on and dropping points. And because I've got that mindset now of, that's fine, I'll take the 3. I would like it to be nicer. That's kind of where I am, And as I say, I ain't happy clappy, David, everything's great. But I just feel at this point in time, in this big wider context, that'll do me. We'll go there on Wednesday as well, and hopefully we'll do a bit better because it's at home. It'll be frustrating, but I just think we just need to kind of, just kind of cool the beans, wait and see once, obviously, Patrick Stewart comes in as well, the chief executive and so on. I'll look at it, and I'm hoping that things will change, moving down. But just at this point in time, Davey, I didn't know what we were going to get on Thursday, but funnily enough, I heard you in the update saying the same as me. See, to be honest with you, I'm not even as much worried about the Thursday, and it turned out absolutely fine. The Sunday was where are we going to trip up? And we didn't. And we could really have, 3 or 4 goals. But again, if Clement says that now in a post-match, the majority of Rangers fans go, here he goes again, and so on. To be honest with you, if we had been more clinical, and that's my big frustration, I think Igaman as well, it's going to take time and so on, he's raw. But I agree too. I think with him in there, I think it's far better than Dessers. He just gives us far more physicality. I think he does better in terms of movement. He's still got a couple of decent shots off as well. But what I liked as well, there was about 4 or 5 times where ball goes in, he actually comes back, touches it, holds it, lays it off and turns. I think that's a positive, yeah.
Well, a couple of things from that. First of all, it was Sunday, not Saturday. You
sorry, yes.
Well, that's his age. You can't
I know,
you know what I mean?
I know.
He's worried about his heating allowance.
He lost his heating allowance.
Where's my Ovaltine, Margaret?
Yeah, exactly. Fetch my stick, Margaret. But look, I do understand. And the other point I was going to make, Alan, is I feel seen with your thing about people that are just miserable and saying the manager's not up to it and the squad's shite. I feel like I'm right here. You could just have said people like you, Davey, But
David, sorry, see, even when it comes down to when we've been going through the past few months.
no. I'm insulted. No. Too late now.
Okay, sorry. I've Twitter, forget that, social media. No, but the whole, I know it's shite, but I don't need people to continually tell me after every game, this is shite and here's how it's like, yeah, I know.
I get it, right? But people are just venting their frustrations. And here's the thing about this Rangers side so far domestically this season. It's so weird, but you do need to actually say that domestically versus you.
Yeah.
But they're not fun to watch. They haven't been fun to watch.
No,
they we don't score enough goals, and a large part of it is the fact that, as you say, I think the system that we've played for months, or that we always play and we're not going to change, relies on wingers, which we don't really have at the moment, and a number 9 who can take the ball in and hold it up, which Dessers couldn't do, and he was the only one that was featuring him. So I watched the game back today, Andy, and like I say, it was all right. It wasn't great. And anyone who was like, it was terrible, it was shite, I do urge you, go back and watch it with, camera head on. You won't think it was great, by the way. I'm not talking, it won't, but you might think it was a bit better. That's what happened with me. I watched it and I thought it was okay. What my frustration comes from, Andy, is that Rangers get into positions constantly and don't maximise them. By that, what I mean is, people might say, well, in the first half we didn't make any, or we only made 2 or 3 chances. We should have made 6 or 7. And by that, what I mean is, people get into positions and then it's the wrong decision. Then they don't see a teammate who's making a run. Then they want an extra touch constantly, which drives me up the fucking wall. It's just a case of saying to them, look, if you could just do these things a bit better, then, and I think that's what drives everybody nuts, because you see the opportunities sort of opening up and then someone turns around and passes it back into midfield and you're ripping your hair out.
So,
well, if you had any, not in my case.
I'm not going to insult you again, David.
You baldy moan. Listen, I had, I think JFT kind of summed that up yesterday. Getting right in the box, 6, no far off a 6-yard box, you think yourself, this must end in a goal, and it doesn't, because either hits the first defender or nobody's making a move. I think there's loads going on here, and we're just short in everything that we do, and we've not got enough goals in the team. So let's look at that team. Raskin, Barron, would you put money in them to score a goal in a game? No. Czerny is a goal scorer. Igaman, it's a work in progress, so you don't know what's going to happen there. We don't score goals for set pieces, as has been well documented. Tav at set pieces, generally speaking. Bajrami hasn't scored enough goals since he came in, as far as I'm concerned. Haji's never been a big goal scorer. We don't have enough goals in the team, right? Mm-hmm. And that lends itself to exactly what you're saying, Davey. You create chances and there's no that person making a third man run, or there's no instinct for that kind of finish. So I think that runs through the squad, and that speaks to why we don't score enough goals in general. That's very hard to fix. That's a personnel problem. That's taking people out of the squad and selling them and replacing them with people that have got that wee instinct. And if we look across society, they're littered with players that can score. But major problem.
Is it? I mean, these are guys that, should know how to do this. And it's just a case of take a bit more care in your final ball, move it a bit quicker, don't take the extra touch. To me, it seems reasonably straightforward.
David, do we actually have a striking, sort of coach specifically on that, or is it Phil as the ex-centre half, or I don't know.
No, I don't think we've got a specialist forward coach now.
No, but I know we need to sign the right people, but I don't know.
They're like, I go back to Raskin and Barron. I know they're sitting midfielders per se, but you're never going to see them coming in the edge of the box and having a shot within the box. It just doesn't happen. I don't know why Jeff doesn't shoot more often. I get your point, Davey, that we seem to at times try to walk the ball in the net. I take that. Right, I'm going to go into happy clapper territory here, but we weren't even seeing that kind of stuff earlier. I spoke the other night about playing football in and around the box, 1-2, stuff like that. Hadji did it at the second half of the Dundee United game. Czerny does it from time to time.
Second half, yeah.
We weren't seeing that a matter of weeks ago. To me, that is a progression in the way we're playing football, but we're just not finishing things off. Davey, is it simple as we've not got a striker? Eggman's a work in progress. Dessers, you can never put your hat on it. And Danilo's no back in the groove yet. We've not got a striker that we can
No, I think
6-year box striker.
Yeah,
I think that's the bottom.
I agree with Alan, by the way, but yesterday, Eggman, the noticeable difference in why Rangers, I think, were so comfortable was the ball wasn't continually coming back, which meant the midfield could just go, because he held it and then played people in.
And then people could come on,
Yeah.
I mean, that's, as I say, that's my point. It sounds really simple. If you were looking at the whole shape of the team and so on, it's just that front. And if you look at other teams, see if you've got 2 goal scorers, one that's going to give you maybe 20 odds, I don't know, one kind of late teens, and as Andy said, a couple of midfielders, man, that are going to give you even 8-10 goals. I mean, Rangers,
5 goals. I'm looking for. I'm looking for 5 goals.
We don't have that anymore. But then here's a counterpoint, because a listener made an excellent point. He said, is it maybe a wee bit too, Jack and Kamara when you play Barron and Raskin domestically? And he's kind of right, because neither is creative. But then again,
by God, we're controlling games with those two together.
Before those two were playing, remember, teams were just walking through the centre of our midfield constantly. We were shipping a goal a game based on that, where a team just with a quick break could get. So it's about, if you like, finding the right balance between that. And I still think that our forward players should be contributing. Czerny's holding his end of the bargain up. Bajrami, I think, has dropped after a decent start. I think his levels went down. I don't think that's his position.
Yeah.
I think Hadji coming back in will help a wee bit, and he was always capable of grabbing you a goal or grabbing you something. But one point I wanted to make, I'll stick with you on this one, Andy, is that where I think the reason I get frustrated at the speed at which Rangers do things in the box, if you look at the goals that we scored in the last week, Dundee United and here, they came by quick one-touch football. First of all, Czerny gets the ball, darts inside, see what he wants to do, does it. Dundee United know what the two of them want to do, but they couldn't stop it because it was so quick. Boom, ball's in the back of the net. Seconds later. Yesterday, Hadji doesn't take the ball down and then spin round with his back to goal and lay it off. He just clips it back in straight away. And it speed things up. And that doesn't mean haste or, run about daft. It just means, do you need that extra touch? Do you need to roll the ball under your studs every time? Or could it go quicker? Sometimes what frustrates me when Rangers have the ball on the edge of the box is you can see what they're trying to do. They're going to work it out to, say, Jeffrey, right? And it takes 3 or 4 touches to go out when you think that could be there in one, but certainly in 2. And all of these minute, nanoseconds add up in a move. And if you can get the defenders turning and get them moving quickly and constantly, that's when you open up space.
You're exactly right. So this isn't exclusive to the front players, but this starts at Suter and Proper or Suter and Balogun. We get the ball.
It's almost horseshoe at times.
Well, not even that, Alan. It's a case of, Suter will sit on the ball for a wee bit and he's looking for a pass, he's looking for a bit of movement. But we're now using the centre halves that much for the style of play, whether it's a diagonal or them stepping out, that the likes of Jeff Day, Yilmaz did it when he came on as well, Tavernier does it as well. And the midfielders do it, Barron and Raskin do it as well, they'll turn in and either pass back or inside. And when I was watching it yesterday, I actually noticed at one point, I was like, there's a wee break on, and then, no, it's no wee break on. We pass it inside and it comes back to Suter. And immediately, St Johnstone are back in shape. And we do that for teams every week. Dundee United were allowed to get back into shape and comfortable every single time we had the potential, what you're talking about there, Davey, which is I'm not talking about out-and-out break. I'm talking about that just wee nanosecond of let's get beyond a man. And we're not fast enough as a team to do that.
Andy, we've been doing it for, obviously years, but this season in particular, what frustrates me as well is, even domestically, I know, teams will sit in, but there are times where they come out. The amount of times the transition we've got the ball, as David says, and it's like, get it up quick, because, we can suddenly, but they do that, we play it across. It just allows them all to go back into their shape and go, on you come, Rangers. I think in Europe it's different because obviously teams are pushing us, and that's where we've really got the joy. But
have you seen Europe? We move faster.
Sorry, Andy, to jump in, but yes, Andy's spot on there, because in Europe it's almost as if they know they won't have the someone's going to come. Someone's going to come and press them quickly. So to me, domestically, they know that, as you said there, Alan, teams are not going to come out their shape unless they absolutely have to. So they've got the time to take 2, 3, 4 touches. And in Europe, it's almost like they go, I don't have the time, so they do it quicker. Well, what they need to do is transpose that into domestic football.
It's intensity, aggression, energy.
Yes.
The energy part is, and this is the other thing that contextually, when we're talking about the game on Sunday, I see something to it about, a bit of travel and a hard game, and somebody says, it's an hour away for an hour's flight. It is, but it completely railroads the rhythm of the week, and you're away from home and all the rest of it. I just think that I thought we started with about as much energy as you can expect after Thursday night's game. I thought we were quite sharp and we're moving it about, and there was a bit of energy. You've seen Raskin in the first 5 minutes doing a really good bit of aggressive backtracking, buys a foul off the guy. That set the tone. That's important, and that doesn't always happen, so you can't take it for granted. But to your point, Dave, about when we have the ball, I spoke last week about, after the United game, about the control aspect. We control, and then what should happen, in addition to that control, we should have a burst where we finish a team off.
Should be an explosion where it's a case of there you go, slip it through.
We're still overly fixated on that control, whereas I think, as we're talking about here, when the fullbacks especially get a chance to ram raid, do it, bust through, break the lines, safe in the knowledge that you get Raskin and Barron there, because let's face it.
Davey, what about a big guy and a wee guy? And one guy going to the front,
science.
One guy going to the back.
It's just science, right? One guy to the back post, one to the front post.
The two guys, they know, I'm going here, Davey, you go there, and the players know
and
how.
And an Umbro strip, right? That's what Rangers win titles.
Black boots.
No, I on that, right? On I think you've made some good points there, lads. I don't disagree. But I can understand, to go back to the point Alan made earlier about some fans. Some fans are saying, yeah, but it's the same every week, it never changes. And Andy mentioned earlier about expectations. I think that, someone said to me afterwards in my video that I do, he said, you weren't raging. And I'm like, no, I wasn't, because my expectations was, I didn't expect us to go and be brilliant and win 4 or 5, which is sad, because that's, where they put me at the moment. But I graded them on that curve. Where I am going to then, the next step, I did think, good win in Europe, follow up with a victory of some sort, right? And one where we controlled the game and weren't in any bother is okay. It's better than, we got a goal and then got battered, right? But what Rangers have failed to do this season, and what I would expect now, is to go, right, so next game, we're at home. And we're against a struggling Kilmarnock side. Let's not forget that, right? This is not a Kilmarnock team that's sitting in 3rd or 4th. It's a struggling Kilmarnock team this year. Then it should be, yes, win the game, but win it better. Win it by a few. Play better, dominate this game. Then you go to Ross County at the weekend, and again, step up level of performance. It should be better than what we watched at the weekend. That's been the problem. Whenever Rangers have given themselves an opportunity to start stepping forward this season, we failed to take it. And I do understand why, for certain supporters, Alan, that they go, well, I'm not getting excited because I've seen this all before. I know what happens. And it's just self-protection. They expect a boot in the balls, so they put their hands over their Nicky Laws. I don't blame them.
No, and it's not, David, as if my standards, I don't want Rangers to win everything and be the greatest, the famous Glasgow Rangers and so on. It's just that when I've thought, what are the chances of maybe achieving that this year? Well, no, really. Okay, as you say, you end up kind of going, right, let's see how things work out. If potentially we can get a couple of, I know the cup final's coming up, but even that one, cup final, it's a one-off game. So that Rangers potentially can go out there and have and by the way, the Scottish Cup final in the summer, we should have won that one. So I've got wee things like in the cups, potentially I think we've got a chance of going through in Europe. The domestic thing is a hard thing to crack, again, with all these teams sitting in, but we need to do it based on, as you said, some of the stuff that we've talked about as well. We should be playing Kilmarnock, we should be going out like we did in the United second half, and it should be Rangers battering them, getting the goals in the first half. And wouldn't it be nice to even be like 2-0 up at half time, and then you can start looking at putting different players on, bringing other players in to give them more experience and working, But it's just frustrating, that's all, isn't it? Welcome to our world, yeah.
Yeah, but let's, Andy, I'll go with a couple of players that I thought impressed yesterday. First of all was Yanis Hadji. I just think he brings a bit more drive and quality and balance to the side.
So Hadji has been refreshing, I would say, because number 10 role for Rangers, not just this season, but for as long as I can remember, has been some sort of mystical position that we can't quite crack. I like what he's doing. I think his style just now is much, much better suited to playing with Cherny, to playing with even Bajrami. I think there's a lot of interchange potential there. And he seems to have just got a wee bit more strength than I've ever seen him before. My big problem with him was that it was just the wrong side of light. But it was probably because he was playing a wee bit more of a all-round midfielder game. I think he's been played in a true number 10 role. He's moving the ball from left to right. He's getting interchange. He's getting shots away. I really, really liked what he did against Dundee United, and he followed it up on Sunday. I thought he won the game, more or less, for us with that wee bit of, as you say, Davey, a wee bit of quick thinking, instinctive thinking. And he could solve as a wee problem there for the rest of the season with Lawrence not being there. The big test for Hadji has always been, or the big question, the acid test question has always been, if you're playing at Parkhead tomorrow or in a Scottish Cup final, or League Cup final against Celtic, would you play him? And I've always said no. I've always thought he's been a peripheral player by comparison to some other people who've been in front of him.
But what would you say now? Just now? It's up to him. Well, it's up to him to hold the shirt. We've got the game coming up in a couple of weeks, and then we've got a home game. So it's up to him. Well, he can't play against Tottenham, sorry. But with big games coming up, he's got the opportunity. He's got the shirt. He needs to hold on to it. He hasn't done himself any harm with the last three halves. Now, I think part of the issue is, and again, it goes back to kind of previous minds being made up and whatnot, is that if you say Hadji's doing okay, people quite often will say, but we know, he's no up to it. He's no good. I've never thought this season Hadji's a world beater, get him in the team and everything will be all right. Right? I don't think there's a single player, incidentally, that you could do in that.
But you'd create a chance, Davey, wouldn't you, or do something different?
But, I think he's better than certain other options. Say Dowell, for example, in there. Yeah. So for me, I mean, Diamande domestically, I don't think is a number 10. I haven't seen anything from him in any of the matches he's played that position domestically. I think in Europe, you remember he used to play Kamara up there and it worked because it's a different type of game. I think he does it well in Europe, but domestically he's not creative enough. I think you need somebody in there who is creative, and Hadji can do that, especially when you don't have the option of Lawrence.
I think because you've got Suter, who's far more solid. About 3 months ago, I would have said, gets caught under the ball, whatever.
Well, he's the other player, Alan, I was going to mention, because he was my man of the match yesterday.
David, even, again, as an ex-centre-half, and I saw Proper, and I'm thinking, oh my God, they're just going to push by early on. John Suter just gave me, it just looks so, I don't know whether it's the confidence as well, the way he's been playing, the stuff I've watched him with Scotland as well, but it just looks like really, he's reading the game really well, he's really solid, and you just think to yourself, in terms of the back door, if they do, kind of come up there, he was anticipating things. So I think the point is, if you've got him at the back, now whether it becomes, I don't know, but Balogun as well, but when you've got the two wee guys as well in the midfield, I think that gives you a bit more solidity then, and you can afford then to have Hadji playing more that come 10 and not being expected to come back and lunge into things. So, but no, John Suter, as I say, a couple of months ago, David, in fact, over the past few years, it was just like a not for me, but that's someone that I've really got to put my hands up and go, he looks the part now. He's winning headers as well. He's looking pretty comfy on the ball, but the amount of blocks and everything, David, it's really impressive. Yeah.
I thought he was good. Yeah, really good. Yeah, because he was commanding. Sorry, Andy, go on.
No, sorry, I interrupted you. The thing there's a lesson to be learned for Suter for everybody, and include myself in that. I talk about players graduating as Rangers players. I spoke about Raskin at the start of the season. I said something along the lines of, we need him to step up now. He's been here a wee while. He's got a role to play. He's bought with a big reputation. He's a Belgian under 21. He needs to step up and graduate as a Rangers player. And short analysis, but the last couple of games, truly he has been doing that. I often talk about ad nauseum about Stephen Naismith, a player who came to Rangers, knew the league inside out, knew Rangers as a Rangers fan, and it took him a good 2 seasons in a good Rangers team to become what he was. And the thing with Suter is, I think this is happening again. I think that's what's happening to Suter. He's been here, and the penny kind of drops. and he's starting to become a real Rangers player, a senior figure in the dressing room and on the park, and that's what we expected of him. We talk about saleable assets, we're quite down on ourselves about the squad in terms of who's worth what and what we would get back. Suter's doing it for Scotland, he's doing it for Rangers, he's doing it in Europe as well. He's got attributes that are very, very sought after for a modern centre-half. Me and you, Davey, have spoke about him, his wee brain farts now and again, in terms of defending, losing goals at the front post, stuff like that. I think he's maturing into a player that
could potentially be a Rangers captain if he keeps
Rangers captain
going.
or an asset
we need
to
a leader
sell.
in there.
Aye,
but he's becoming what I expected actually to get from Hearts. I did think that's what was arriving, and it didn't. And it's almost like, I don't know if he was just, a wee bit intimidated by the size of the club. We've seen that before. But because the reason I want to point that out is earlier in the season, see, after Parkhead, I was done. No, it's never going to happen. But again, litmus tests are coming up. These are the games where you need somebody to stand up and be counted, and hopefully it'll be him. The other guy I want to talk about today is a question that never really goes away, and that's James Tavernier. Brought back into the side yesterday. I thought he was fine. Got involved in the goal, and his presence there. If he's not there, Holt doesn't need to smash it into his own net, or doesn't he need to attempt to play it to smash it into his own net. So fair enough. But he spoke after the match, says he feels fine. Kind of gave the impression, that's just what I took out it before anyone says, I'm not quoting him here, but kind of gave the impression that he doesn't really understand why he's out the team. And for me, Alan, it's a simple equation. It's not about his age. He mentioned his age a few times. It's not his age. He's at a team. He's not been playing well enough. It's that simple.
No, and here comes old Alan. So whether it be Joe Wallace with Derek Parlin or Derek Johnson or whatever, or Alec Miller and Sandy Jardino getting back in, that's the way to do it. You just go, listen, son, you're not playing well at the moment. You need to keep working and training. This guy's now got the jersey. If the guy keeps playing well, you're not going to get back in. And in a way, I think that's good. It's because I think before with Tav, it was like I'm always going to get in there. They rely on me and my numbers and this.
Undroppable, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think, and I think it's the right way you should do it. Just be a case of, look, come on, you do know, look at your performances and so on. They sit with the videos, don't they, and they analyse things. They could show it, and I think it should just be a case of, at the moment, I mean, Sterling he suited as, in advance of you, or I don't know. I think the way it should be is he knows he'll maybe push him on a wee bit. He might do a bit better, but no, I'm sorry. I'm very much and it's the same with Gamani as well. And Dessers, if he's got his big lip trembling again or he's weighing the huff again, I'm sorry. The guy came in, he scored 2 goals. He's linking up better, and that should be a message as well across the team. And that's quite good too, because even the likes of the Chernies or whoever it would be, it gives you a chance then to actually realise, hold on, I really need to play, to this standard. I need to apply myself. So, yeah. And I'm pleased. I mean, Tav, he did okay.
Yeah, he done all right. I wasn't, in any way having a go at him. I just thought it was quite an interesting, and I urge people to watch it. It's quite an interesting interview with him, because he kept mentioning, he said, okay, I've gone up a year in age, but I don't feel any different. It's an unusual situation from... up until a few months ago, I was playing every game. I think I'd only miss one, etc. And it's like, all of that, yeah, that's fine. You haven't been left out of the side because you've had a birthday. You've been left out of the side because you've been poor. Yeah. And yes, he's a captain, and there is a special status of that in British football. We know that. But the idea that you cannot be dropped, especially when there was 2 replacements. There's now 1 with Cass's injury. Yeah. But it's not valid to me. And for me, what Tav needs to do to get back in the side, if he wants to, is play better.
Aye. I don't, it's, maybe as a professional sports person, you need to have an unshakable belief in yourself. And
definitely.
The true...
You need to be realistic as well.
I know, well, maybe has been realistic, and maybe the truth lies somewhere in between, because I've often thought the death of James Tavernier has been greatly exaggerated, and I still think he had a role to play. He's been honking defensively, but I still think within this squad, I spoke about quality early on, there's still a lot that he can offer in terms of ball carrying and delivery.
You are determined to set fire to your Twitter tonight, aren't you?
I don't give a shit. Well, listen, I just think it's the context of the squad. right? If we were talking about a good squad, then it's different. But in the context of squad, I still think he's probably the one guy you want putting the ball in the box for, when the chips are down. And that means that he's still a role to play from. If we had a better squad and Casemiro and Sterling were up to speed and playing week in, week out and indisputably, ahead of him and that, then that's the case. But see, I expected him to play on Sunday because we were off the back of Thursday. It's St Johnstone, for Christ's sake. He knows the game. They've not got although they've got a couple of fast forwards, they're not exactly, it's not like the same situation as playing Fofana at Lyon or the guy at Olympiacos. He's not got a one-on-one battle that we're worried about. So you play him and he done his job. So again, it's no me saying Tav's the king and everything's hunky-dory. It's me putting it in a contextual kind of circumstance, David. That's where I'm at with it.
No, and I would agree. I mean, I certainly don't think he should be playing week in, week out. And to me, it's a case of the manager will look at it at the time, and there's games where he'll have to sit out, or there's games where he'll come on as a sub, or vice versa. So he's still got a role to play, but yeah, he's obviously so far away from what he was a few years ago. Anyway, yeah. So
yeah, happens to the best. The
three of us honestly
can attest to.
Yeah.
Right then, folks, that will do us for this week. Cammy will be back on Heart and Hand Extra later in the week after we take on Kilmarnock at Ibrox, and he'll also look ahead to the match at the weekend as we travel up north. So one thing before we go, Andy, Christmas is coming, right? And buying Christmas presents is a pain in the arse. I think we would all agree with that. Would you agree with that?
Buying a Christmas present for you is a pain in the arse. If MD's got to buy a man who has everything, and that would
everything.
be.
I mean, we would keep it.
Much of it. I will. It's a pain in the arse, David. Is that what you want me to say?
Yeah, that was kind of where I was going with it. But but you've been doing this long enough to know that, you dick. But
I can feel some tact coming on here.
Well, actually, it's not tack because it's not something we make. Usually, if it's something we make, it's shite. It's just some cheap shite with our logo put on it. But in this case, our collab beanie with the famous, who actually do make good stuff, is available. If you get it on a pre-order until tomorrow, then that will be your chance to buy it, and you will get it for Christmas. It's a lovely red, white, and blue beanie hat. I'll put the link in the show description. Please, if you want it, get it. Whoever you give it to will love it. And the thing is about it, it's no, like one of the beanies you get outside the grounds. It lasts a winter. These things last forever. And I know a lot of you actually collect the stuff from the famous. This is another nice quality one as well. But they are good hats. They really, really are. But if you want to hear more from us, you know where to go. Patreon.com/Heart and Hand. My thanks to Mike Lee and Paul Myers, our producers at Playback. And of course to my two wonderful guests. Thoroughly enjoyed the chat today, gentlemen. First of all, to Alan Bradley.
Thanks, David. Yeah, enjoyed it, Andy. I think it's Horlicks we'll have to go for now. So, but yeah, as ever, always good to be on the flagship. So let's keep winning these games now, Gers. Yeah,
that would be nice. And Andy, yep, a better win on Wednesday night, and we can all go into the weekend on a high.
All is well. Life is beautiful.
I thought you were going to start singing, Andy.
League Cup's staying where it is. Spurs should be thinking about their future. Relax, you.
There you go, folks. Straight from the mouth of my gown. Right, thanks for joining us. I'll be back here next week. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.